Welcome, dear friends, to a soothing journey through 160 world-building facts from the beloved Fallout universe. Tonight, we'll immerse ourselves in the vast, post-apocalyptic world of Fallout, a universe shaped by nuclear catastrophe where humanity's resilience meets the consequences of a world forever altered. From the survivors of vaults to the enigmatic factions, the rich history and lore of Fallout will unfold gently before you, allowing you to drift into a peaceful rest. Together, we'll explore the delicate balance of hope, survival, and the strange beauty that exists in the shadows of this dystopian world. As you settle in, take a deep breath and let the weight of your day slowly dissolve. The world around you is quieting, and with each breath, you are sinking deeper into a peaceful calm. Let your body relax and your mind soften as we embark on this journey through stories and secrets, where every detail is like a soft whisper guiding you to a place of tranquility. And if you find yourself enjoying this peaceful escape, feel free to subscribe and softly let me know where you're listening from tonight. Now, as the night deepens, let's begin our exploration of Fallout's world, where every corner holds a story waiting to be discovered. Fact 1. In the Fallout universe, the iconic Vault-Tec Corporation created vaults as a way to protect the population from nuclear fallout. However, their true purpose was far darker. Vault-Tec designed the vaults as experimental environments, subjecting the inhabitants to cruel social experiments. These experiments ranged from testing the psychological effects of isolation to exploring the impact of various forms of government and even forced genetic manipulation. The inhabitants, often unaware of their true role, were left to endure these torturous conditions, unknowingly becoming part of a vast network of testing that spanned the wasteland. Fact 2. The Great War, the catalyst for the Fallout universe's post-apocalyptic setting, took place on October 23rd, 2077, and lasted for just 2 hours. During this brief but devastating conflict, the world's nuclear powers launched missiles at one another in a desperate attempt to assert dominance. This resulted in widespread destruction, leaving much of the Earth scorched and radioactive. The intense heat, shock waves, and radiation from the war destroyed cities, infrastructure, and civilization itself. The world, forever scarred, became a desolate wasteland, and the survivors were left to rebuild from the ashes of humanity's ambition. Fact 3. The Brotherhood of Steel, one of the most iconic factions in the Fallout universe, originated from a group of military personnel who survived the Great War in the Brotherhood Outcasts. Initially, they were part of the United States military, tasked with protecting the remnants of humanity after the bombs fell. Over time, they became obsessed with gathering and preserving advanced technology, believing that the survival of humanity rested in the mastery of the pre-war scientific advancements. They are known for their power armor and high-tech weaponry, but also their rigid, hierarchical structure that sees technology as both a tool and a weapon of control. Fact 4. The Nuka-Cola Corporation, which became synonymous with the pre-war era's culture, played a pivotal role in the Fallout universe. not only as a beloved beverage, but as a symbol of the capitalist society that existed before the Great War. Nuka Cola was produced in many varieties, including the classic Nuka Cola Quantum, and even a special version called Nuka Cola Dark. The drink became so popular that it fueled much of the pre war economy, influencing advertising, consumerism, and pop culture. After the war, Nuka Cola became a prized item among scavengers, a relic of a bygone age that stood as a reminder of what was lost. Fact 5: the wasteland is filled with dangerous and mutated creatures, many of which were the result of the nuclear fallout's effects on the environment and wildlife. One of the most feared creatures is the Deathclaw, a large, terrifying predator that roams the wasteland, its claws capable of tearing through armored vehicles. Originally bred by the U.S. government as part of an experiment to create a super soldier, Deathclaws were released into the wild after the Great War, where they quickly adapted to their new surroundings. Their strength and viciousness made them one of the most dangerous threats to anyone traveling the wasteland. Fact 6: super mutants, another deadly group in the Fallout universe, are the result of the Forced Evolutionary Virus, FAV, a virus created by the government before the Great War. The FEVs was intended to enhance human strength and endurance, but it had disastrous effects. Those infected were transformed into massive, towering mutants with limited intelligence but immense physical power. The virus spread throughout the wasteland, creating factions of super mutants, including the infamous Master and his army, who sought to forcibly transform others into mutants. The super mutants' reign of terror left the wasteland full of their hulking figures, roaming in search of their next victim. Fact 7: the concept of vaults and their inhabitants' societal structure is both fascinating and tragic. Vault 101, one of the most iconic vaults in the Fallout series, was designed as an experiment in isolation. The vault's inhabitants were told they were the last survivors of humanity, but the truth was far darker. The vault was sealed, and its inhabitants were never allowed to leave. The vault overseer, the leader of the vault, controlled the community with absolute authority, and any attempt to leave the vault or question the status quo was met with severe punishment. This extreme control led to a culture of fear and obedience. Fact 8: the Pip-Boy 3000, an essential device in the Fallout universe, is an iconic piece of technology that was designed to function as both a personal assistant and a survival tool in the harsh, post-apocalyptic world. The Pip-Boy was worn on the arm and contained a variety of useful features, such as a map, inventory management system, health monitor, and even a radio. After the Great War, survivors found these devices to be indispensable for navigating the wasteland, and many scavengers still seek out working Pip-Boys to aid them in their journeys. Its green monochrome screen has become a symbol of the Fallout series itself. Fact 9: the Institute, a mysterious organization based in the ruins of the Commonwealth, plays a pivotal role in the Fallout universe. This group of scientists and engineers is dedicated to advancing technology, particularly in the fields of robotics and artificial intelligence. Their most notable creation is the Synth, a humanoid robot designed to replicate humans so perfectly that they are indistinguishable from real people. The Institute's goals are often shrouded in secrecy, and their experiments raise moral questions about the nature of humanity, identity, and the cost of technological advancement. Fact 10. The infamous city of Megaton, located in the capital wasteland, stands as a symbol of both resilience and danger in the post apocalyptic world. Megaton is built around an undetonated nuclear bomb, a relic of the Great War. The bomb is a constant reminder of the world that was lost and the fragile nature of life in the wasteland. Despite the constant threat of it detonating, the residents of Megaton have built a thriving community with shops, homes, and even a bar. The bomb is both a source of fear and a point of pride for the people who live in its shadow. Fact 11. One of the most intriguing elements in the Fallout universe is the presence of the mysterious Vault Dweller. The Vault Dweller is a character who often emerges from the depths of a vault, typically one of the last surviving members of a sealed community. These individuals become heroes of the wasteland, often carrying the weight of their vault's secrets, and their journey is one of self-discovery. The Vault Dweller frequently uncovers truths about the pre-war world and the consequences of Vault Tech's experiments. They are both symbols of hope and tragic figures, forever impacted by the world they left behind. Fact 12. The Enclave, a shadowy organization composed of remnants from the pre-war U.S. government, plays a critical role in the Fallout universe. The Enclave is notorious for its elitist, militaristic ideologies, believing themselves to be the true inheritors of the United States government. They view the rest of humanity as inferior and seek to restore the old world by any means necessary, including mass genocide. Their advanced technology, including power armor and energy weapons, makes them one of the most powerful and dangerous factions in the wasteland. Despite their high-tech weaponry, the Enclave remains a symbol of authoritarianism and the dangers of unchecked power. Fact 13. The Fallout series is deeply rooted in the exploration of morality, particularly through the choices players must make throughout the game. In many instances, players are forced to confront difficult ethical dilemmas, from deciding whether to help a group of settlers or exploit them for personal gain, to choosing between aiding a faction with questionable motives or siding with those who have their own dark secrets. These choices often have profound consequences, shaping the player's character and the world around them. This exploration of morality in a post-apocalyptic setting is one of the defining aspects of Fallout's narrative depth. Fact 14. The Commonwealth, a region in the Fallout universe, is known for its sprawling cities, crumbling architecture, and haunted ruins. One of its most significant landmarks is the once thriving city of Boston, now reduced to rubble after the Great War. The Commonwealth is home to a vast array of factions, including the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad, and the Institute. Each of these factions has its own agenda, often clashing with one another as they vie for control over the remnants of pre war technology. The regions is a hotbed of tension, mystery, and opportunity for those brave enough to survive its dangers. Fact 15. One of the most recognizable symbols in the Fallout universe is the power armor, a suit of advanced, high tech armor worn by various factions and characters throughout the wasteland. Initially developed by the U.S. military to enhance the strength and endurance of soldiers, power armor became a symbol of protection and power. Its bulky design, with its glowing yellow lights and heavy metal plating, has made it one of the most iconic visual elements of Fallout. Wearing power armor not only offers protection from radiation and attacks, but it also represents the enduring legacy of a society that once valued technological supremacy above all else. Fact 16. The idea of artificial intelligence plays a significant role in Fallout, with the series exploring the moral and ethical implications of AI. One of the most notable examples is the character of Mr. House, a pre war businessman who used his vast wealth to download his consciousness into a computer, effectively becoming a form of AI. Mr. House rules over the New Vegas region, using his immense intelligence and technological power to maintain control. His existence raises questions about the nature of life, consciousness, and whether humanity's dependence on technology has led to the creation of new forms of life that transcend biology. Fact 17. The radiated wasteland is filled with countless dangers, but none more terrifying than the mysterious and unpredictable weather patterns that occur after the Great War. Radiation storms, powerful electromagnetic pulses, and other environmental hazards have turned the once familiar landscapes into a dangerous, hostile environment. Travelers must navigate these treacherous conditions while searching for shelter, food, and resources. The weather in the wasteland can shift rapidly, changing from clear skies to deadly storms in the blink of an eye. It's a constant reminder of the power and unpredictability of the world after the bombs fell, where survival is never guaranteed. Fact 18. One of the most tragic and poignant elements of the Fallout universe is the theme of loss. Many of the characters, factions, and settlements encountered throughout the games are products of a world that no longer exists. The ruins of pre-war cities stand as silent witnesses to the collapse of civilization, while survivors mourn the loss of loved ones, homes, and a way of life that is forever gone. This sense of loss is particularly evident in the relationships players form with other characters, many of whom carry the scars of a world that was torn apart by war. In Fallout, the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the hearts and memories of those who survived. Fact 19. One of the most memorable aspects of the Fallout series is the extensive use of pre-war pop culture, which serves as a nostalgic link to the past. Before the Great War, the world was filled with music, advertisements, and entertainment that celebrated the ideals of the 1950s. In the wasteland, these relics of the past can still be found, playing on radios or adorning the walls of old buildings. Songs like I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire by the Ink Spots and Civilization by Danny Kaye serve as haunting reminders of the world that was lost, adding an emotional layer to the Fallout universe. Fact 20. The concept of vaults, while initially seeming like places of safety, is often revealed to be much more complex and tragic. Many vaults were not designed to protect people, but to conduct horrific social experiments on their inhabitants. Vault 112, for example, placed its residents in a virtual reality simulation, trapping them in a dreamlike state while their physical bodies were left to decay. The experiment was intended to study the psychological effects of isolation and artificial realities, but it left the inhabitants living in a distorted version of reality. The vaults, in their entirety, stand as a stark reminder of the moral decay that led to the world's downfall. Fact 21. The Fallout universe is known for its deep and nuanced approach to faction dynamics. One such faction, the New California Republic, ENCR, represents a vision of hope and restoration. Founded in the aftermath of the Great War, the NCRR aims to restore the principles of democracy and civilization. Despite their noble goals, however, the NCR is often depicted as a flawed and bureaucratic organization. The NCR's territorial expansion and their struggles with corruption highlight the challenges of rebuilding a society from the ground up. The NCR's story is one of both progress and pitfalls, embodying the difficulties of restoring order in a chaotic world. Fact 22. The Raider factions in Fallout are a constant reminder of the brutality that emerged in the wake of the Great War. These groups, made up of survivors who turned to violent, anarchic ways of life, prey on the weak and live by a code of survival that rejects all morality. Raiders have no interest in rebuilding society or maintaining any sense of community. Instead, they thrive on destruction and chaos. Their settlements are often marked by makeshift structures, brutal hierarchies, and an unrelenting pursuit of dominance. In the wasteland, raiders represent the darker side of human nature when society collapses. Fact 23. The mysterious and enigmatic figure of the lone wanderer, often the protagonist of Fallout games, is a symbol of resilience and individualism. Born out of the isolation of the vaults, the lone wanderer steps into a world where survival depends on resourcefulness and adaptability. Throughout their journey, they encounter both allies and enemies, making choices that define their moral compass. The lone wanderer's story is one of loneliness, survival, and self-discovery, navigating a wasteland filled with danger and loss. Their journey is a personal one, shaped by the decisions they make and the people they meet along the way. Fact 24. The concept of mutated creatures in Fallout is not just a backdrop, but a key part of the world's ecosystem. These creatures, altered by radiation and the aftermath of the Great War, are often more dangerous than their pre-war counterparts. The rad scorpion, for example, is a giant mutated scorpion whose venomous sting can kill an unprepared traveler in seconds. These creatures are not only physical threats, but represent the lasting effects of the nuclear apocalypse on the natural world. The mutations that give rise to these creatures are both a symbol of survival and the tragic consequences of mankind's experiments with nature. Fact 25. One of the most haunting aspects of the Fallout universe is the presence of the wasteland's many ghoul populations. Ghouls are humans who have been horribly mutated by radiation exposure, resulting in their decayed, zombie like appearance. While some ghouls are little more than feral creatures driven by hunger, others maintain their human intellect and have formed unique communities. Some ghouls have even become powerful figures in the wasteland, leading groups of survivors or acting as traders and diplomats. The ghoul population serves as a reminder of the lasting effects of radiation on humanity, and their existence raises profound questions about what it means to be human. Fact 26. The Brotherhood of Steel's power armor, one of the most recognizable elements in the Fallout universe, is an incredibly advanced piece of technology, providing its wearer with unmatched protections in combat. However, the origins of the power armor are rooted in the pre-war US military's efforts to create the ultimate combat suit. Designed for soldiers, the power armor became a symbol of strength and dominance after the Great War. The Brotherhood of Steel, ever obsessed with preserving and controlling advanced technology, took control of the armor and refined its use, eventually making it a core part of their operations and identity. Fact 27. One of the most dangerous aspects of the Fallout universe is the concept of radiation poisoning. Fallout's world is rife with radiation hotspots, from the irradiated ruins of old cities to the toxic swamps and deserts that litter the wasteland. Prolonged exposure to radiation can cause a wide range of illnesses, including mutations, skin lesions, and eventual death. Radiation is not just a physical hazard, but also an emotional one, as it reminds survivors of the destructive power of the nuclear bombs that ended the old world. It serves as a constant, invisible threat to those trying to survive in the wasteland. Fact 28. The wasteland in Fallout is not only a place of physical survival, but a moral battleground. The decisions players make throughout the series often test their ethical values, forcing them to decide between conflicting factions and ideologies. Some choices involve personal sacrifice, while others require players to choose between the greater good and self-interest. These decisions are never clear-cut, as every action taken has long-lasting consequences. Fallout's moral complexity is one of its defining features, encouraging players to reflect on their choices and consider the broader implications of their actions in a fractured, post-apocalyptic world. Fact 29. One of the most fascinating elements in the Fallout series is the role of Vault Tech in shaping the course of humanity's future. Vault Tech was tasked with creating underground vaults to protect the population from the nuclear devastation of the Great War. However, it soon became clear that the vaults were not built solely for protection. Vault-Tech's true purpose was to conduct social experiments on the residents of each vault, subjecting them to extreme psychological and physical tests. These experiments, ranging from isolation to genetic manipulation, formed the backbone of the Fallout narrative, highlighting the ethical decay of a society driven by unchecked power. Fact 30. The Fallout series is known for its distinctive retro-futuristic aesthetic, which blends 1950s pop culture with post-apocalyptic themes. This unique style is seen in the architecture, fashion, and technology of the pre-war world, all of which were influenced by mid 20th century ideals. From the sleek design of the Nuka Cola bottle to the chrome clad robots that populate the world, Fallout's world building creates a sense of nostalgia for a time that never truly existed. This combination of optimism, innocence, and looming destruction serves to highlight the tragedy of the Great War, offering a haunting glimpse into a world that was lost in an instant. Fact 31. In the Fallout universe, the city of New Vegas stands as a beacon of pre war capitalism and excess in the wasteland. Before the Great War, Las Vegas was a symbol of entertainment, indulgence, and wealth. After the war, the city was reformed into New Vegas, where a mix of old world glitz and new world survivalist ideals collided. The enigmatic figure of Mr. House, a pre war businessman who downloaded his consciousness into a computer, runs the city with an iron fist, manipulating events to maintain control over the region. New Vegas becomes a battleground for power and control, a reflection of human ambition amidst ruin. Fact 32. The feral ghouls, once humans, now roam the wasteland as mindless, decayed creatures. These are the unfortunate souls who, through prolonged radiation exposure, have lost their intelligence and their humanity. The transformation from human to feral ghoul is gradual and agonizing, a horrific fate for anyone exposed to intense radiation for too long. Despite their monstrous appearance, there are some who retain the barest traces of their former selves, creating a haunting sense of loss for those who remember their past lives. The feral ghouls serve as a reminder of the irreversible cost of nuclear devastation. Fact 33. The concept of the Wasteland Wanderer is central to the Fallout games, embodying the theme of isolation and the search for meaning in a broken world. Whether they are scavenging for supplies, hunting mutated creatures, or seeking to rebuild their homes, these wanderers are always searching for something: hope, safety, redemption, or just survival. Each wanderer's journey is personal, and while they may cross paths with other survivors, they often remain alone, fighting to survive in a world that has lost its moral compass. The wanderer's solitude is both a burden and a necessary part of their survival. Fact 34. The concept of nuclear power and its misuse is a recurring theme in Fallout, often explored through the use of energy weapons and technology that emerged in the post-apocalyptic world. One of the most iconic weapons in the series is the laser rifle, a high-powered energy weapon capable of disintegrating enemies with a focused beam of light. These weapons are remnants of a pre war world that sought to harness the power of the atom. But in the Fallout universe, they serve as a reminder of humanity's hubris and the dangerous consequences of tampering with forces beyond our control. Fact 35. The children of Adam are one of the most intriguing and unsettling factions in the Fallout universe. This group worships nuclear radiation, viewing it as a divine force capable of purification and enlightenment. The children of Adam are often seen as a dangerous cult by other survivors, as their beliefs lead them to engage in reckless behavior, including gathering near radiation hotspots and even living in irradiated zones. Their devotion to the atom transcends logic and reason, and their actions are driven by an unwavering faith in the transformative power of nuclear energy. Fact 36. The wasteland is home to many strange and dangerous places, one of which is the glowing sea in the Commonwealth region. This area is filled with intense radiation and mutated creatures, making it a perilous place for any traveler. The glowing sea's landscape is a surreal, otherworldly sight with glowing, greenish fog drifting over the landscape and scorched remnants of the pre war world. It serves as both a literal and symbolic representation of the fallout from nuclear war, a place where life struggles to take root and survival depends on overcoming extreme environmental challenges. Fact 37. The concept of radiation as a powerful, life altering force is explored in Fallout through the introduction of radaway, a chemical used to neutralize the effects of radiation poisoning. While radaway can save a survivor's life, its use is often limited, and its scarcity makes it a valuable commodity in the wasteland. The need for radaway underscores the constant threat of radiation in the Fallout world, where every step could lead to exposure, and every survival attempt might be undone by the invisible menace of radiation. It highlights the fragility of life in a world shaped by atomic destruction. Fact 38. One of the most iconic weapons in the Fallout universe is the Fat Man, a portable mini-nuclear launcher capable of launching nuclear projectiles. The Fat Man represents the terrifying destructive power that is so common in Fallout's world, a weapon designed for mass destruction, but often used by desperate survivors to protect themselves from the dangers of the wasteland. While the Fat Man is an effective weapon, it also serves as a poignant symbol of the madness and tragedy of a world where people have access to the very tools that caused humanity's downfall. Fact 39. The mysterious and ominous figure of the Master, a super mutant leader, plays a pivotal role in the early Fallout games. The Master's ultimate goal is to unite the wasteland's mutated populations into a single, powerful race of super mutants. He believes that the mutations caused by the forced evolutionary virus, FEVOS, represent the next step in human evolution, and that the survivors of the Great War are weak and inferior. His vision for a new, mutated world is both dangerous and unsettling, and he serves as one of the series' most formidable and tragic antagonists. Fact 40. The world of Fallout is full of memorable, eccentric characters and one of the most intriguing is Moira Brown, a shopkeeper and quest giver in the capital wasteland. Moira is a cheerful, optimistic, and somewhat naive character who runs a store called Craterside Supply in the ruins of Megaton. Despite the harsh realities of the wasteland, Moira remains determined to write a guidebook about survival in the post apocalyptic world, offering a glimpse of humor and hope in the midst of devastation. Her quirky, upbeat personality serves as a contrast to the grim world around her, making her a beloved character in the series. Fact 41: the Capital Wasteland, the setting of Fallout 3, is one of the most iconic regions in the series. It encompasses the ruins of Washington, D.C., and its surrounding areas, which are marked by the remains of the old world. Landmarks like the Washington Monument, the U.S. Capitol, and the Lincoln Memorial stand as silent witnesses to the devastation of the Great War. Despite the destruction, the Capital Wasteland is a place of great historical significance and emotional weight, filled with remnants of a society that once thrived, and survivors who are constantly trying to make sense of what remains. Fact 42: the radiation-soaked world of Fallout has given rise to some of the most unique and dangerous creatures in video game history. Among them are the Mirelurks, a species of mutated crustaceans that have adapted to life in the wasteland's toxic waters. Mirelurks are often found in swamps and coastal regions, where they lurk in the depths, waiting for their prey. Their hard, armored exoskeletons make them difficult to defeat, and their aggressive behavior makes them a constant threat to anyone traveling near water. Mirelurks represent the unforgiving and unpredictable nature of the world after the Great War. Fact 43: the pre-war world of Fallout was one that worshipped consumerism, technology, and mass production. This culture is evident in the numerous advertisements that can be found throughout the wasteland, relics of a time when companies like Vault-Tec and Nuka-Cola reigned supreme. These advertisements, often found on billboards and radios, paint a picture of a utopian society where everything is perfect and consumption is the key to happiness. In the wasteland, these ads serve as a haunting reminder of the hubris that led to humanity's downfall and a warning about the dangers of unchecked corporate power. Fact 44: one of the most striking features of Fallout's world is its soundtrack. The series is known for its use of pre-war 1940s and 1950s music, which adds a layer of melancholy and nostalgia to the desolate landscape. Songs like I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire by the Ink Spots and Civilization by Danny Kaye are heard on radios across the wasteland, offering a stark contrast to the devastation surrounding the survivors. The music reflects the innocence and optimism of the pre-war world, making it all the more poignant when played against the backdrop of the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Fact 45: the concept of power in the Fallout universe is often explored through the various factions that vie for control over the remnants of the old world. The Enclave, for example, believes that only the purest of humanity deserves to survive, and they aim to restore the United States government to its former glory by any means necessary. Their authoritarian ideologies and advanced technology make them a dangerous and oppressive force. In contrast, factions like the New California Republic seek to create a more inclusive society, though they are equally flawed, highlighting the complexities of rebuilding in a fractured world. Fact 46. The various vaults scattered throughout the wasteland are central to Fallout's narrative, each one holding its own dark secrets. Vault 13, for example, is one of the first vaults introduced in the series, and its story is one of tragic isolation. The inhabitants of Vault 13 were sealed off from the outside world, and their only task was to survive for an indefinite period. However, when the vault's water chip malfunctioned, the vault dweller was forced to leave and search for a replacement, setting off the chain of events that would shape the future of the wasteland. Vault 13's story is one of survival and the consequences of playing God with human lives. Fact 47. One of the most terrifying and fascinating aspects of the Fallout universe is the appearance of the Deathclaw, a terrifying mutation created by the US government as part of an experiment to develop super soldiers. Deathclaws are massive, reptilian creatures with enormous claws capable of ripping through armored vehicles. They are one of the most feared creatures in the wasteland, often hunting in packs and attacking anything that crosses their path. Their strength, speed, and viciousness make them nearly unstoppable, and encountering one is a surefire way to end up as their next meal. Deathclaws embody the disastrous consequences of mankind's desire for power and control. Fact 48. The concept of junk plays a significant role in the Fallout universe, where everyday items and materials from the old world are repurposed for survival. Scavengers and survivors in the wasteland often make use of seemingly useless items, from bottle caps to scrap metal, in order to craft weapons, armor, and tools. This resourcefulness is vital to survival in a world where resources are scarce and danger is ever present. The use of junk highlights the ingenuity of the human spirit and the will to survive, even in the face of overwhelming odds. It also serves as a commentary on the impermanence of modern conveniences. Fact 49. The concept of artificial intelligence and robotics is deeply intertwined with the Fallout universe, particularly in the form of the various robots that populate the world. Robots like the Mister, Handy, and the Sentry Bot were designed to serve humanity in the pre-war era, performing tasks ranging from household chores to military operations. However, after the Great War, these robots were left to wander the wasteland, often malfunctioning or becoming hostile due to the lack of human control. Their presence in the wasteland serves as a reminder of the technological marvels of the past, as well as the unintended consequences of over-reliance on artificial intelligence. Fact 50. The theme of legacy is central to Fallout, with many characters and factions struggling to preserve or reclaim the values of the pre-war world. One of the most notable examples of this is the Brotherhood of Steel, a faction obsessed with preserving and controlling advanced technology. They believe that the technology of the old world holds the key to humanity's survival and must be safeguarded at all costs. The Brotherhood's obsession with technology, however, comes at a cost, as their rigid, hierarchical structure often leads to internal conflicts and a reluctance to adapt to the changing world around them. Fact 51. The concept of survival is central to the Fallout universe, as the wasteland is filled with threats both human and non human. One of the most dangerous forces in the wasteland is the weather, which has been radically altered by the Great War. Radiation storms, electromagnetic pulses, and unpredictable changes in climate have made the environment far more hostile than before. Travelers must be constantly vigilant, finding shelter or protective gear to survive the harsh elements. The unpredictability of the weather serves as a constant reminder of the fragile nature of life in a post apocalyptic world. Fact 52. The concept of memory plays a significant role in Fallout, as many survivors are haunted by the loss of their past lives and the world they once knew. For example, the characters of Vault 101 in Fallout 3 live in isolation, unaware of the world outside, creating a sense of false security. When they eventually discover the truth, their entire understanding of reality is shattered. The importance of memory is also seen in the game's various radio broadcasts, which feature old songs, advertisements, and news reports from the pre-war era, evoking nostalgia and a sense of longing for a lost world. Fact 53. One of the most fascinating aspects of Fallout is the relationship between humans and their environment. As the world has been ravaged by nuclear destruction, the remnants of the old world are often juxtaposed with the new, post apocalyptic landscapes. The fallout from the Great War has left the world in a state of decay, where humanity must fight for every scrap of food, water, and shelter. Yet, amidst the devastation, life finds a way to flourish in strange and unexpected ways, with mutated plants, animals, and even humans adapting to the new world, highlighting the resilience of life in the face of catastrophe. Fact 54. The theme of family and relationships is deeply explored in Fallout, particularly through the characters and factions the player encounters. The lone wanderer, for example, is often motivated by a desire to find their family or to create a sense of belonging in a fractured world. Other factions, like the Brotherhood of Steel and the Enclave, are built around strict hierarchies and ideals that often come at the expense of individual relationships. In a world torn apart by war, Fallout emphasizes the importance of connection, whether through blood, friendship, or shared purpose, as a way to survive and find meaning. Fact 55. The mysterious underground world of the vaults has long been a central theme in the Fallout universe. Vaults were originally designed as safe havens, built to protect survivors from the nuclear fallout of the Great War. However, many vaults were secretly used as testing grounds for social experiments, ranging from genetic manipulation to psychological manipulation. Some vaults were even designed to test the limits of human endurance and morality. These experiments have left a dark mark on the vault's inhabitants, many of whom were never told the true purpose of their isolation and have become a symbol of humanity's capacity for cruelty in the pursuit of control. Fact 56. One of the most iconic locations in Fallout 4 is the Diamond City, located in the ruins of Fenway Park in Boston. The city was built by survivors who managed to create a semblance of order amidst the chaos of the wasteland. Known as the Great Green Jewel, Diamond City is a thriving hub of trade and politics, surrounded by towering walls that protect it from the dangers of the outside world. Despite its outward appearance of prosperity, Diamond City is riddled with corruption, power struggles, and secrets, making it a microcosm of the broader challenges faced by survivors in the wasteland. Fact 57. The Brotherhood of Steel, a faction that first appeared in Fallout, is one of the most well-known groups in the series. Initially formed by military personnel in the aftermath of the Great War, the Brotherhood quickly became obsessed with the acquisition and preservation of technology. Their ultimate goal is to maintain control over advanced technology to ensure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. The Brotherhood's rigid hierarchy, strict code of conduct, and militaristic approach make them both admirable and dangerous, as they often view themselves as the only faction capable of saving humanity, regardless of the consequences. Fact 58. The idea of human evolution is explored through the mutations that have occurred in the wake of the Great War. In the Fallout universe, humanity has undergone profound changes due to radiation exposure, which has led to the emergence of mutated creatures and even mutated humans. These mutants, including the super mutants and ghouls, represents a new form of life that exists in the shadow of the old world. The mutations raise questions about what it means to be human, as many of these mutated beings retain human intelligence and emotions, but are forced to live in a world that sees them as monsters. Fact 59. The wasteland is filled with factions, each vying for control and influence over the remnants of the old world. One of the most prominent factions is the Institute, a group of scientists who have survived in the ruins of the Commonwealth. The Institute is known for its advanced technology, including the creations of synths, highly advanced humanoid robots. While the Institute's motives are often shrouded in mystery, their belief in technological supremacy and their willingness to manipulate and control others makes them one of the most powerful and dangerous factions in the Fallout universe. The Institute represents the dangers of unchecked scientific ambition. Fact 60. The concept of the Wasteland Survival Guide, created by the character Moira Brown in Fallout 3, encapsulates the theme of resourcefulness in the post-apocalyptic world. Moira is an optimistic, eccentric character who seeks to document the struggles and solutions of surviving in the wasteland. Her guidebook serves as both a literal and symbolic tool for survival, offering tips on everything from scavenging to navigating radiation zones. Moira's relentless positivity and her desire to help others in the face of overwhelming adversity make her one of the most memorable characters in the series, embodying the spirit of hope amidst destruction. Fact 61. In the wasteland, The raiders stand as a symbol of the brutality that can emerge in the absence of society and law. These scavengers and marauders roam the wasteland, looting, pillaging, and terrorizing communities in their path. Raiders are often organized into brutal gangs, each with its own distinct hierarchy and set of rules. Some raiders are driven by desperation, while others simply seek power and dominance. Their disregard for life and the suffering they cause highlight the darkest side of human nature, where survival becomes an excuse for lawlessness and cruelty. Fact 62. The concept of sacrifice is explored throughout the Fallout series, with many characters forced to make difficult decisions for the sake of survival or the greater good. In Fallout 4, the player character, known as the Sole Survivor, is constantly faced with choices that affect not only their fate, but the fate of the people they encounter. Whether it's deciding to join a faction that will lead to the destruction of another, or deciding whether to save a loved one at the cost of a larger mission, Fallout forces players to confront the weight of their actions and the consequences that follow. Fact 63. The vaults, which were designed as a form of protection during the Great War, are often revealed to have had sinister purposes. In Fallout 2, Vault 13 becomes a focal point for the story, revealing that it was a place of forced isolation. The vault's inhabitants were not meant to thrive or be protected. They were part of an experiment to study the effects of isolation on human behavior. These experiments took a toll on the vault residents, who were deprived of human contact and basic survival skills, showcasing the cruelty that can come from well-intentioned but flawed leadership. Fact 64. In Fallout, the theme of trust is one of the most difficult aspects to navigate. In a world filled with treachery and deceit, it's hard for the characters to know who they can rely on. The various factions in Fallout are constantly at odds, each with its own agenda and vision for the future. The Brotherhood of Steel, the New California Republic, and the Enclave all have different ideas about what the future should look like, and the player must choose who, if anyone, to trust. This theme of trust extends to individual characters, where friendships can quickly turn to betrayal. Fact 65. The environment in Fallout is not just a backdrop for the story. It plays an active role in shaping the characters and their experiences. The radioactive wasteland is full of ruins, and ruins that are often hazardous, either due to radiation or mutated creatures lurking in the shadows. For instance, the glowing sea in Fallout 4 is an area where the radiation levels are so high that even seasoned survivors fear to venture. The weather, the terrain, and the constant threat of radiation all contribute to a sense of vulnerability, highlighting how the environment is both a character and a challenge. Fact 66. The Commonwealth, a region in Fallout 4, is one of the most tragic examples of what humanity becomes after the Great War. Once home to thriving cities and a symbol of the American dream, the Commonwealth is now a wasteland filled with ruins and scavengers. Yet, even in the face of overwhelming destruction, the survivors of the Commonwealth cling to the hope that they can rebuild. The area is filled with remnants of the old world, from pre war advertisements to abandoned buildings, and these remnants serve as a constant reminder of the dream that was lost in the fallout of the war. Fact 67. The concept of memory is also explored in Fallout through the use of holotapes and journals. Holotapes, which were once used as a form of communication and entertainment before the war, now serve as a way for survivors to leave behind messages, stories, and memories. These tapes are often found in the most unexpected places, offering insights into the lives of those who lived before the war. Some tapes are filled with personal stories of loss, while others offer valuable information about the pre war world, allowing players to piece together the history of the world before it was destroyed. Fact 68. The Children of Adam, a faction that worships radiation, represent one of the most unique and unsettling groups in the Fallout universe. Their devotion to the atom is not based on reason or scientific understanding, but on blind faith. The children of Adam believe that radiation is a divine force that purifies and brings enlightenment. They seek to spread their message by any means necessary, even if it means putting themselves in harm's way. Their belief in the power of the atom stands in stark contrast to the devastation it caused, making them a symbol of humanity's ability to hold on to hope in even the most illogical ways. Fact 69. One of the most fascinating and tragic characters in Fallout 3 is Three Dog, the charismatic DJ of Galaxy News Radio. Three Dog broadcasts throughout the Capital Wasteland, offering news, entertainment, and hope to the survivors of the wasteland. His voice is a constant presence, reminding the people that they are not alone. However, Three Dog is also a symbol of the hope that persists despite overwhelming odds. His broadcasts are often filled with commentary on the state of the world, and he serves as a reminder that even in a broken world, there are those who continue to fight for a better future. Fact 70. The theme of family and legacy is explored in Fallout 4 through the relationship between the sole survivor and their son, Sean. After being frozen in cryogenic stasis for over 2 centuries, the sole survivor awakens to find that their son has been kidnapped. Their journey to rescue Sean becomes not just a quest for survival, but a personal mission to reclaim their lost family. The conflict over Sean's fate highlights the importance of family ties in the post-apocalyptic world, where every relationship becomes a symbol of the old world and the values that are worth preserving. Fact 71. The super mutants in Fallout are a tragic result of the forced evolutionary virus, FAV, a serum originally created to enhance human strength. However, the virus mutated its victims, turning them into massive, powerful, and often unintelligent creatures. The super mutants are symbolic of the unintended consequences of tampering with nature and biology. While they are often depicted as savage and dangerous, some, like the super mutant named Marcus in Fallout 2, show that not all mutants are inherently violent. Their struggle for identity and belonging adds a layer of tragic humanity to their character, despite their monstrous appearance. Fact 72. One of the most memorable locations in Fallout 3 is the remains of the city of Washington, D.C., which has been reduced to a radioactive wasteland. In the heart of the capital wasteland lies the famous ruins of the National Mall, where the Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial, and the U.S. Capitol stand as silent monuments to a lost era. These ruins, now filled with scavengers and hostile creatures, serve as a haunting reminder of the past. They highlight the contrast between the grandeur of pre war America and the desolation left in the wake of nuclear war. Fact 73. In the Fallout universe, the pre war world's obsession with technology is a theme that runs deep, as evidenced by the many high tech weapons and gadgets found throughout the wasteland. One such example is the plasma rifle, a weapon that uses advanced energy technology to disintegrate its targets with a high powered energy beam. Plasma weapons like this one symbolize the destructive power of the technology that was once used to improve life but ultimately contributed to humanity's downfall. In the wasteland, these weapons serve both as a means of survival and as a constant reminder of the world's tragic end. Fact 74. One of the most unique and mysterious figures in the Fallout series is the courier from Fallout, New Vegas. Tasked with delivering a package across the Mojave wasteland, the courier is shot in the head and left for dead, but they survive and embark on a journey to find their would-be assailant and deliver the package. As the courier navigates through various factions and alliances, they are faced with questions about loyalty, fate, and the future of the Mojave. The courier's journey is shaped by their choices, allowing players to dictate the outcome of the story, making it one of the most flexible and open-ended Fallout experiences. Fact 75. The theme of power and its consequences is central to the Fallout universe, particularly through the use of the power vacuum that exists after the collapse of civilization. Various factions vie for control over what remains, and often the struggle for power leads to further violence and oppression. The New California Republic, for example, represents an effort to restore democracy to the wasteland, but it struggles with its own internal corruption and bureaucracy. The struggle for power in the wasteland is not just a fight for territory, but for the very soul of humanity, and the consequences of these battles can shape the future of the world. Fact 76. The world of Fallout is filled with morally ambiguous characters, and none exemplify this more than the enigmatic figure of Caesar from Fallout, New Vegas. Caesar is the leader of the Legion, a brutal and authoritarian faction that seeks to conquer the wasteland through violence and fear. Despite his cruel methods, Caesar believes that his vision of a new Roman Empire is the only way to restore order to a chaotic world. His charismatic leadership and his ability to manipulate others make him both a formidable antagonist and a tragic figure, driven by a warped sense of destiny. Fact 77. The Fallout series is known for its deep lore, much of which is tied to the relics of the pre-war world. One of the most fascinating aspects of this lore is the prevalence of Vault Tech, a company that played a pivotal role in the creation of the vaults. Vault Tech was initially seen as a corporation that cared about preserving humanity in the face of nuclear annihilation. However, as the truth behind their vault experiments comes to light, it becomes clear that Vault-Tec was more interested in conducting inhumane social experiments than actually saving people. Their dark legacy is one of exploitation and manipulation, leaving the survivors of the vaults to uncover the truth of their existence. Fact 78. In the Fallout universe, one of the most pervasive and dangerous threats is the radiation that permeates the environment. This radiation is not just a background element. It shapes the world in profound ways, both physically and psychologically. The radiation from the bombs that fell during the Great War continues to affect every corner of the wasteland, mutating plants, animals, and humans alike. Those who venture into irradiated zones are at risk of contracting radiation poisoning, which can lead to severe physical ailments or even death. Radiation is a constant reminder of the destruction that humanity has brought upon itself, and it serves as an ever-present danger in the wasteland. Fact 79. The Brotherhood of Steel's obsession with technology goes beyond just advanced weaponry. It also extends to the preservation of old-world knowledge. The Brotherhood believes that technology, if left in the wrong hands, could destroy humanity once again. As a result, they've dedicated themselves to not only acquiring, but also hoarding the knowledge of the pre-war world. Their libraries and archives are filled with books, blueprints, and records that detail the history of humanity's greatest achievements. However, their tight control over this knowledge often makes them secretive and isolated, creating tension with other factions that seek to use this technology for their own purposes. Fact 80. One of the more unconventional factions in Fallout is the Railroad, a secret group dedicated to helping synths escape from the Institute and live free lives. Synths are artificial humans created by the Institute, and while they are initially seen as tools to be used by the Institute, the Railroad believes that they deserve the same rights as any other living being. The Railroad's mission to liberate synths is often seen as a moral crusade, but it also raises important questions about the nature of humanity, identity, and freedom. The Railroad fights not just for the synths, but for the values of equality and justice in a fractured world. Fact 81. One of the most fascinating locations in Fallout 4 is the Commonwealth, a region once known as Massachusetts, now filled with remnants of old cities and institutions. The Commonwealth's dense, foggy forests are home to a wide variety of factions, including the Minutemen, the Brotherhood of Steel, and the Railroad. The Commonwealth is a place of both danger and opportunity, where remnants of the old world mix with the harsh realities of post-apocalyptic survival. The ruins of Boston's iconic landmarks, like Fenway Park, serve as a backdrop to the ongoing power struggles and offer players a glimpse into a world lost to time. Fact 82. The Fallout universe is rich with moral choices, and one of the most compelling dilemmas in the series is the conflict between the Institute and its opponents. The Institute is a shadowy, high-tech organization that controls advanced robotics and artificial intelligence. They believe in the supremacy of science and technology, even at the cost of human lives. On the other hand, groups like the Brotherhood of Steel and the Railroad oppose the Institute's authoritarian rule, seeing them as a dangerous force that treats human life as expendable. The battle between these factions is a battle for control over humanity's future, and the player must decide where they stand. Fact 83. In Fallout, New Vegas, the Mojave Wasteland is a sprawling desert landscape filled with remnants of the pre war world. One of the most iconic features of this region is the New Vegas Strip, a neon lit area that stands as a symbol of capitalism and excess amidst the barren wasteland, controlled by Mr. House, a pre war businessman who downloaded his consciousness into a computer. The strip is a place of luxury and vice where wealth and power hold sway. It serves as a stark contrast to the rest of the Mojave, where survival is a daily struggle for most inhabitants. Fact 84. The concept of the vaults is central to Fallout's narrative, and Vault 111 in Fallout 4 plays a significant role in the story. Vault 111 was one of the many vaults designed by Vault Tech, but it became infamous for its unique and horrifying experiment. The inhabitants of Vault 111 were placed in cryogenic stasis with the expectation that they would be frozen until the world outside was safe to return to. However, the experiment was not intended for their safety. It was a test to see how they would react to being preserved in stasis for centuries, leaving them unaware of the passage of time. Fact 85. The theme of loss is deeply embedded in the Fallout universe, with many characters and factions dealing with the aftermath of the Great War. For example, in Fallout 3, the protagonist is the lone wanderer who sets out to find their missing father in the devastated capital wasteland. Along the way, the player meets numerous survivors who have lost family, homes, and communities. The Great War has left the world broken, and each character must grapple with the pain of loss and the challenge of finding meaning in a world where everything they knew has been destroyed. Fact 86. The super mutants in Fallout, particularly in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, are a tragic reminder of humanity's experiments gone awry. The forced evolutionary virus, FEV, created the super mutants, and while they are often portrayed as violent and dangerous, many of them were once human. The transformation from man to monster is painful and irreversible, and some super mutants, like Marcus in Fallout 2, struggle with their identity and the loss of their humanity. These characters serve as symbols of the unintended consequences of playing with nature, and their existence raises questions about the cost of scientific experimentation. Fact 87. The Brotherhood of Steel, a faction that originated from the remnants of the U.S. military, has played a central role in many Fallout games. The Brotherhood is dedicated to preserving and controlling technology, believing that humanity can only survive if advanced technology is kept in the right hands. While their intentions may seem noble, their methods are often harsh and authoritarian, and they are frequently at odds with other factions that seek to use technology for their own ends. The Brotherhood's obsession with technology, coupled with their rigid structure, makes them both an ally and an antagonist in the wasteland. Fact 88. The concept of self reliance is central to the Fallout universe, where every survivor must learn to fend for themselves in the harsh, unforgiving wasteland. One of the most iconic elements of this survival is the use of weapons and armor, many of which are crafted from salvaged materials. Whether it's a makeshift rifle or a suit of power armor, survivors must rely on their resourcefulness to stay alive. The wasteland is a place where ingenuity and adaptability are as important as strength and firepower, and those who cannot adapt are often left behind in the dust of the world's destruction. Fact 89. The Institute, one of the most mysterious factions in Fallout 4, is dedicated to the pursuit of science and technological advancement. The Institute is known for its advanced robotics, particularly its creation of synths, which are artificial humans capable of mimicking real people. While the Institute believes that they are improving humanity by creating these machines, many see them as playing God with human life. The synths are often treated as little more than tools by the Institute, leading to a moral dilemma about what it means to be human and the ethics of creating artificial life. Fact 90. One of the most iconic weapons in the Fallout universe is the laser musket, a unique weapon found in Fallout 4. The laser musket is an unconventional weapon that requires the user to manually crank a handle to charge the shot before firing. It's a mix of old world technology and scavenged parts, and it serves as a symbol of the ingenuity required to survive in the wasteland. While the laser musket may not be as powerful as some of the more advanced energy weapons in the series, it is a testament to the creativity and resourcefulness of the survivors in the wasteland. Fact 91. The Commonwealth, featured in Fallout 4, offers one of the most intriguing settings in the Fallout universe, with its post apocalyptic Boston. The region is rife with history, from the haunting remnants of Fenway Park to the broken remnants of the Boston skyline. Its diverse factions, including the Brotherhood of Steel, the Institute, and the Railroad, vie for control over technology, ideology, and human life. These factions have deeply rooted beliefs about how humanity should be reborn from the ashes of the Great War, making the Commonwealth a battleground for ideologies. It's a place where the past collides with the present, and the future is in constant flux. Fact 92. The theme of redemption is explored through various characters in Fallout, notably through the character of Nick Valentine in Fallout 4. A synth, Nick is an artificial human who retains memories of his past life as a human detective. His journey is about finding redemption for past wrongs, as well as navigating his identity as both a man and a machine. As the player's companion, Nick represents the idea that redemption is possible for anyone, regardless of their origin or the mistakes they've made. His struggle with his own humanity and the search for meaning in a fractured world resonates deeply with the themes of Fallout. Fact 93. Nuka-Cola, a beloved pre-war drink, has become one of the most iconic symbols in the Fallout universe. The drink's bright, colorful advertisements and branding serve as a stark contrast to the grim reality of the wasteland. In Fallout 4, Nuka Cola is not only a product of nostalgia, but also a key element in the quest to uncover the secrets of the Nuka World theme park. Nuka Cola represents the consumerist society that once thrived, with its marketing tactics targeting all ages. The drink's continuing popularity among survivors in the wasteland speaks to humanity's longing for something familiar and comforting amidst chaos. Fact 94: the idea of the lost world is a central theme in Fallout, particularly through the exploration of ancient pre war ruins. One of the most compelling examples is the vaults, which were meant to shelter humanity from the nuclear catastrophe, but instead became chambers of isolation and experimentation. Vault 111, introduced in Fallout 4, serves as a haunting reminder of this lost world. The vault's inhabitants were placed into cryogenic stasis, leaving them unaware of the devastation that awaited them outside. The vaults, once symbols of safety, now stand as dark reminders of humanity's misguided attempts to preserve itself. Fact 95: the wasteland in Fallout is a place where the very concept of civilization has been warped by time and the consequences of nuclear war. One of the most interesting aspects of Fallout's world building is how society has fragmented into various factions, each attempting to rebuild or impose their vision of the future. The New California Republic, NCR, for example, is a democratic republic attempting to restore law and order to the wasteland, while the Legion, led by Caesar, seeks to impose a brutal, authoritarian rule. These factions represent two opposing philosophies, one based on rebuilding and the other on domination, highlighting the struggle for power in a fractured world. Fact 96: the concept of survival is not just about physical endurance in Fallout, it's also about mental fortitude. As survivors struggle to navigate the dangers of the wasteland, they must also contend with the psychological toll of the apocalypse. One example is the character of Piper Wright in Fallout 4, a reporter who documents the harsh realities of life in the wasteland. Despite the constant threats of violence, radiation, and death, Piper remains determined to provide a voice for the oppressed. Her unwavering optimism and commitment to truth make her a symbol of resilience, reminding players that survival is as much about the mind as it is about the body. Fact 97: one of the most iconic and powerful weapons in the Fallout series is the Fat Man, a portable nuclear launcher capable of firing mini nukes that can obliterate entire groups of enemies. The Fat Man's devastating power makes it one of the most feared weapons in the wasteland. It is a relic from the pre-war world, a reminder of humanity's ability to harness unimaginable destructive force. However, its presence in the wasteland is also symbolic of the consequences of nuclear power, as survivors must decide whether to use this weapon and risk further annihilation or abandon it and seek other means of survival. Fact 98: the theme of humanity's relationship with technology is explored in Fallout through the widespread use of robots and artificial intelligence. The Fallout world is filled with remnants of advanced robotics from the pre-war era, from the helpful Mr. Handy units to the deadly sentry bots. These robots were originally created to serve humanity, but after the war, many became hostile or went rogue. The question of what happens when technology outlives its creators is central to Fallout's narrative, and it raises important questions about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence and robotics in a world that has already been destroyed by technology's unchecked power. Fact 99. The Fallout series often explores the idea of what remains when civilization falls. One of the most poignant examples of this is the character of Elder Maxon in Fallout 4. As the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel, Maxon believes in the preservation of pre-war technology at all costs. He is a young, determined leader, but his devotion to maintaining the Brotherhood's ideals sometimes blinds him to the needs of the people he seeks to protect. Maxon's character embodies the conflict between tradition and progress as he struggles to balance the need for technological control with the need to rebuild a better world. Fact 100. One of the more philosophical aspects of Fallout is the exploration of the concept of legacy, especially in how individuals and factions seek to leave their mark on the world. The Fallout series frequently asks the question, what will survive after the world ends? One such character who grapples with this question is the sole survivor from Fallout 4, whose quest to find their son, Sean, reflects a personal struggle with the loss of family and the desire to leave a legacy. Throughout the game, the sole survivor encounters people who are also searching for their own legacies, whether through family, power, or the preservation of old world knowledge. Fact 101. One of the most iconic figures in the Fallout universe is the character of the Vault Dweller. The Vault Dweller represents the last remnants of a pre-war society, someone who emerges from the safety of the vault into a hostile world filled with danger, intrigue, and moral challenges. As the Vault Dweller explores the wasteland, they are faced with the reality of a world in ruins, a stark contrast to the idealized world they once knew. The Vault Dweller's journey becomes a quest for survival, knowledge, and identity in a world that has been forever changed by nuclear war. Fact 102. The wasteland in Fallout is filled with perilous terrain, but none more dangerous than the irradiated zones. These areas, heavily contaminated by radiation from the Great War, pose a constant threat to anyone who dares enter. Radiation not only affects the physical health of survivors, but also alters the landscape, creating dangerous, mutated creatures and plants. The glowing sea in Fallout 4, for example, is a vast, irradiated wasteland where even the hardiest survivors fear to tread. Radiation storms, fluctuating levels of radiation, and lethal creatures make these areas some of the most dangerous regions in the Fallout universe. Fact 103. The Institute, a mysterious organization in Fallout 4, plays a central role in the game's story. This high-tech group operates from the ruins of the Commonwealth, using advanced robotics and synthetic biology to push the boundaries of scientific progress. The Institute is responsible for creating the synths, human like robots designed to serve various purposes. However, their creation of these beings raises significant ethical questions. Are synths truly alive, or are they just machines? The Institute's desire to maintain control over these technologies makes them a formidable faction, sparking moral dilemmas about the future of artificial intelligence and humanity's place in the world. Fact 104. The Fallout series delves into the theme of propaganda, particularly through the use of radio broadcasts. In Fallout 3, the player can listen to the soothing voice of Three Dog, the DJ of Galaxy News Radio, who provides updates, entertainment, and a sense of hope in the desolate capital wasteland. Three Dogs broadcasts are not just informational, they are a form of resistance against the totalitarian forces that threaten the wasteland. His voice serves as a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, there are those who are fighting to bring light back to the world. Fact 105. The Brotherhood of Steel, one of the most powerful factions in Fallout, is dedicated to preserving and controlling technology. This obsession with pre-war knowledge and technology stems from their belief that such power is necessary to ensure humanity's survival. The Brotherhood's strict hierarchical structure, led by an elder, controls the flow of technology, often isolating themselves from the outside world. While their intentions are to protect humanity, their rigid approach and tendency to withhold technology from others make them both a valuable ally and a potential threat. The Brotherhood represents both hope and oppression in the wasteland. Fact 106. The quest for control over water is a central theme in Fallout, particularly with the appearance of the water merchants in Fallout 2. These merchants control one of the most valuable resources in the post-apocalyptic world, clean water. Water is the key to survival in the wasteland, and those who control it wield immense power. The water merchants' monopolization of this resource highlights the lengths to which people will go to control life's most essential needs. Water scarcity is a recurring issue in Fallout, and its importance is reflected in the struggle for access to it throughout the series. Fact 107. In the Fallout universe, the destruction caused by the Great War is not just physical, but also psychological. Many survivors are left with deep emotional scars, unable to cope with the loss of their homes, families, and the world they once knew. The quest for survival becomes not just about gathering food and water, but also about finding a reason to keep going. Fallout's focus on the psychological effects of war and destruction emphasizes the emotional toll of living in a broken world. Characters like Moira Brown in Fallout 3 exemplify the resilience required to face such overwhelming loss. Fact 108. One of the most fascinating aspects of Fallout is its use of pre-war culture, particularly its music. Songs from the 1940s and 1950s, such as I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire by the Ink Spots and Civilization by Danny Kaye, are woven throughout the series, providing a haunting soundtrack to the desolate wasteland. These songs, once symbols of optimism and progress, now carry a melancholic weight. The juxtaposition of cheerful tunes with the apocalyptic setting serves as a poignant reminder of the world that was lost in the blink of an eye, offering a glimpse into the past before the Great War. Fact 109. The raiders in Fallout are often depicted as ruthless bandits who terrorize survivors, but their role in the wasteland is more complex than just mindless violence. Raiders, like the Great Khans in Fallout, New Vegas, are often driven by desperation and the need to survive in a world where resources are scarce. Some raiders, particularly those who form their own communities, have a code of honor and seek to create their own form of society. While their methods may be brutal, they represent the harsh reality of life in the wasteland, where survival often requires difficult, morally questionable decisions. Fact 110. The concept of the Vault Tech experiment is central to the Fallout universe, as many vaults were designed to test the limits of human endurance and societal behavior. Vault 81 in Fallout 4, for example, was one of the few vaults that did not conduct a cruel experiment, but it still contained its own secrets. The vault's inhabitants were supposed to live in peace and relative safety, but the presence of a mysterious outbreak of disease within the vault reveals that even Vault Tech's best intentions had consequences. The vaults serve as a symbol of humanity's desire to control its future, even at the cost of individual lives. Fact 111. The theme of family and belonging is explored deeply in Fallout, especially in Fallout 4. The protagonist, the sole survivor, is thrust into a world they no longer recognize after being frozen in cryogenic stasis for over 200 years. Their quest to find their kidnapped son, Sean, leads them through a wasteland filled with dangers, factions, and moral dilemmas. Along the way, they encounter survivors who have formed new families, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes out of shared ideals. The idea of what makes a family in such a broken world is central to the emotional journey the sole survivor faces. Fact 112. The Commonwealth, as introduced in Fallout 4, is a diverse and varied landscape that offers one of the richest settings in the Fallout universe. From the bustling streets of Diamond City, a makeshift hub of civilization, to the deadly irradiated zones of the glowing sea, the region is a stark contrast of hope and destruction. The remnants of the pre-war world, including old Boston landmarks like Fenway Park, are scattered across the land, serving as haunting reminders of what once was. The Commonwealth is also home to many factions, each with their own vision for the future, creating a dynamic battleground for control. Fact 113. The Brotherhood of Steel has always been a central faction in Fallout, but in Fallout 4, their role becomes even more complex. Originally, the Brotherhood was dedicated to the preservation of pre-war technology to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. In Fallout 4, however, they are shown to be more militaristic and aggressive, with their leadership focusing on dominating the wasteland. The Brotherhood's emphasis on technology, combined with their rigid hierarchy and belief in their own superiority, raises questions about how far they are willing to go to protect humanity and whether their methods are truly just. Fact 114: the Institute, a secretive faction in Fallout 4, is an organization dedicated to pushing the boundaries of scientific discovery. While the Institute believes in advancing technology and improving the human race through synthetic biology, their methods have been deeply controversial. They create synths, humanoid robots that are indistinguishable from humans, which raises ethical dilemmas about what it means to be human. The Institute's leaders view their work as a necessary step toward human evolution, but their use of synths as tools and their secretive nature make them a morally ambiguous faction, raising questions about the intersection of progress and control. Fact 115: the wasteland in Fallout is a brutal and unforgiving place where survival is often a matter of luck and skill. Radiation is a constant threat, with certain areas of the map completely irradiated and dangerous to explore without proper protection. These radioactive zones, such as the glowing sea in Fallout 4, are not just physically hazardous, they are also deeply symbolic of the fallout from humanity's own actions. The radiation that poisons the land also serves as a metaphor for the irreversible damage done by nuclear war, highlighting the long-lasting consequences of human conflict and greed. Fact 116: the moral complexity of Fallout is often exemplified by the choices players must make throughout the games. In Fallout 4, one of the most difficult decisions the player faces is whether to side with the Institute, a technologically advanced faction that seeks to reshape the world, or the Railroad, a group fighting to free synths and give them rights as humans. Each faction has its own vision of the future, and the player's choice has far-reaching consequences. This moral ambiguity makes Fallout's world feel real, as it reflects the difficult decisions people must make in a world that has lost its ethical compass. Fact 117: the concept of isolation is explored deeply in Fallout, particularly through the vaults. Vault-Tech's vaults were originally created as a means of protecting survivors from nuclear fallout, but many of the vaults became places of intense psychological and social experimentation. In Vault 111, featured in Fallout 4, the inhabitants were placed in cryogenic stasis, unaware of the passage of time. The isolation of the vaults becomes a metaphor for the disconnection felt by survivors in the wasteland, where trust is scarce and the bonds of family and community have been shattered by the horrors of nuclear war. Fact 118: the wasteland in Fallout is filled with mutated creatures, many of which are the result of the radiation and chemical fallout from the Great War. One of the most terrifying creatures in the series is the Deathclaw, a large, predatory creature that has been mutated by radiation, originally created by the U.S. government as part of a military experiment to create super soldiers. Deathclaws have become a terrifying force in the wasteland. Their incredible strength, speed, and brutal hunting methods make them one of the most feared creatures in the post apocalyptic world, capable of tearing through anything that stands in their way. Fact 119. In Fallout 4, the Minutemen represent a faction that is dedicated to rebuilding civilization in the wasteland. They are a group of volunteers who seek to protect settlers and restore some semblance of law and order. Their origins harken back to the Revolutionary War, where the Minutemen were a militia formed to fight for independence. In Fallout 4, the Minutemen aim to create a more democratic society, helping communities defend themselves against raiders, mutants, and other threats. Despite their noble goals, the Minutemen struggle with internal divisions and the realities of trying to rebuild a society in the ruins of the Laugield world. Fact 120. The world of Fallout is filled with secrets, hidden locations, and forgotten treasures. One of the most intriguing of these is the Vault Tech regional offices scattered across the wasteland. These locations offer players a chance to uncover more about the vaults and their true purpose. Some offices are filled with journals, audio logs, and documents that reveal the dark experiments conducted by Vault Tech, while others are filled with valuable supplies and equipment. These hidden places allow players to piece together the tragic history of Vault Tech and the true cost of the experiments they conducted on innocent lives. Fact 121. The wasteland in Fallout is home to many different factions, each with its own vision for the future. One such faction is the New California Republic, NCR, a democratic organization that strives to restore order and rebuild society after the Great War. The NCR is driven by ideals of freedom, justice, and democracy, but it struggles with corruption, bureaucracy, and its tendency to expand its influence often create moral gray areas. The NCR's attempts to restore a sense of normalcy in a chaotic world highlight the difficulty of governing in a post-apocalyptic society where every decision has a profound consequences. Fact 122. The presence of mutated creatures in the Fallout universe is a constant reminder of the destructive power of nuclear radiation. Creatures like the Yao Guai, a terrifying mutated bear, and the Rad Scorpion, a giant venomous scorpion, have adapted to the harsh conditions of the wasteland. These mutations are often a result of the unchecked exposure to radiation, which has altered the DNA of animals, turning them into deadly predators. The evolution of these creatures serves as a symbol of nature's ability to adapt to extreme conditions, but also as a warning of the consequences of tampering with the natural order. Fact 123. One of the most intriguing aspects of Fallout is its use of science fiction and speculative technology. The series features a wide range of futuristic technologies, many of which were created in the pre-war era and left to decay after the Great War. One example is the use of power armor, which was originally developed by the U.S. military to enhance soldiers' strength and endurance. The Brotherhood of Steel, one of the most powerful factions in the Fallout universe, uses power armor extensively to protect themselves and assert dominance. Power armor has become a symbol of both technological advancement and the dangers of military overreach. Fact 124. In Fallout 3, players encounter a group known as the Enclave, a faction that represents the remnants of the pre war U.S. government. The Enclave sees itself as the legitimate successor to the United States, believing that only they have the right to lead humanity in the post apocalyptic world. They are willing to use extreme measures to assert their dominance, including deploying advanced technology and even attempting to exterminate mutated humans. The Enclave's belief in their own superiority, combined with their ruthless tactics, makes them one of the most dangerous factions in the Fallout universe. Fact 125. The wasteland is full of remnants from the pre war world, and one of the most fascinating aspects of Fallout is how these remnants are used by survivors. For example, the Fallout 3 location, known as the Rivet City, is built upon the wreckage of a pre war aircraft carrier. Rivet City serves as a testament to the ingenuity of survivors who, despite living in a world destroyed by nuclear war, can still repurpose the past to build something new. This theme of repurposing and rebuilding is central to Fallout, showing that even in the face of devastation, there is hope for reconstruction. Fact 126. The Fallout universe often explores the idea of what it means to be human, particularly through the character of the synths in Fallout 4. Synths are artificial beings created by the Institute, designed to resemble humans in every way. While they are intended to serve the Institute's needs, many synths seek freedom and independence, questioning their own identity and purpose. The debate over whether synths are truly alive or simply machines is one of the central moral dilemmas in Fallout 4, raising questions about consciousness, autonomy, and the rights of artificial beings in a world where humanity's creations often turn against them. Fact 127. The Brotherhood of Steel, originally introduced in Fallout 1, has evolved into one of the most prominent factions in the series. Initially formed as a group of military survivors after the Great War, the Brotherhood's primary goal was to preserve advanced technology, including the use of power armor and energy weapons. Over time, the Brotherhood has become more than just a military force. It has become an ideology, one that believes in the preservation of humanity through the control of technology. Their methods, however, often clash with other factions who believe that the Brotherhood's hoarding of technology is ultimately harmful to the future of humanity. Fact 128. One of the most tragic and poignant elements of Fallout is the theme of survival against all odds. In a world ravaged by nuclear fallout, survivors must navigate the wasteland, scavenging for food, water, and shelter. The harsh conditions often force people to make difficult choices, such as deciding who gets to eat or whether to risk their lives for a small chance of survival. This constant struggle for basic needs is a central theme in Fallout, and it underscores the brutal reality of living in a world where humanity's former comforts have been replaced by constant danger and scarcity. Fact 129. The concept of the vault is central to the Fallout series, and each vault has its own unique, often sinister story. Vault 106, for example, was designed to test the psychological effects of isolation on its inhabitants. The vault's residents were subjected to a hallucinogenic gas that caused them to lose touch with reality, leading to violence and madness. When the vault was opened, the survivors were left in a state of psychological disarray, making Vault 1061 one of the most disturbing experiments in Vault Tech's history. Each vault tells a different story about the dark side of human nature. Fact 130. In Fallout New Vegas, the Mojave Wasteland is home to some of the most memorable and morally complex factions in the series. One of these factions is Sazer's Legion, a ruthless and militaristic group that seeks to conquer the wasteland and impose their vision of a new Roman Empire. Caesar, the leader of the Legion, is a charismatic but cruel dictator who believes that only through domination and slavery can order be restored to the wasteland. The Legion's brutal tactics and authoritarian ideology make them one of the most feared factions, but their vision of the future stands in direct opposition to other groups like the New California Republic. Fact 131. The Fallout series has always explored the contrast between the old world and the new. In Fallout 4, this is particularly evident through the ruins of Boston, where old world technology and civilization lie in tatters, while survivors try to rebuild from the remnants. One of the most iconic images in this contrast is the glowing, deteriorated remains of the Liberty Prime, a massive pre-war robot which stands as a symbol of both the power of old technology and the ultimate collapse of that power. Liberty Prime, once a weapon of war, now serves as a reminder of humanity's failed pursuit of control. Fact 132. In Fallout New Vegas, the character of Mr. House is one of the most complex figures in the series. A pre-war businessman who managed to preserve his consciousness in a computer system, Mr. House controls the New Vegas Strip with an iron fist, using advanced technology and his business acumen to maintain his power. Mr. House's survival represents the fusion of old world corporate greed with new world technological prowess. He is driven by a desire to restore civilization, but his vision is a controversial one. His actions raise important ethical questions about the price of power and the morality of using advanced technology for control. Fact 133. The theme of freedom versus control is explored deeply in Fallout 4, especially through the conflict between the Institute and the other factions in the Commonwealth. The Institute believes that the future of humanity lies in technological advancement, and they are willing to use synths, humanoid robots that are indistinguishable from humans, to achieve their goals. However, their methods are seen as oppressive by others, especially the Railroad, who believes that synths deserve freedom. The player must navigate this moral quandary, deciding which side to support in the struggle over who gets to control the future of humanity. Fact 134. In Fallout 3, the exploration of the capital wasteland is not just about survival, it's about discovery. The wasteland is filled with mysteries, from the hidden vaults of Vault Tech to the ruins of Washington, D.C. As players wander through the desolate streets and radiation soaked ruins, they uncover remnants of the pre war world, old landmarks, broken technology, and the last echoes of a civilization long gone. This sense of discovery is central to the series, as players uncover not just the physical world, but the emotional and moral cost of a world that once believed it could avoid the consequences of its actions. Fact 135. The Raiders in Fallout, particularly the cons in Fallout, New Vegas, represent the breakdown of society and the moral decay that follows in the wake of the Great War. The cons were originally a group of peaceful survivors who sought to rebuild, but over time they turned to violence and chaos, becoming a gang of ruthless raiders. Their descent into brutality highlights the fragility of society, where the line between civilization and savagery can be easily crossed. In Fallout, the cons are a reminder that the collapse of civilization is not just about the destruction of cities, but the erosion of values. Fact 136. The concept of sacrifice is central to Fallout, especially in the story of the Lone Wanderer in Fallout 3. The Lone Wanderer's quest is driven by the desire to find their missing father, but the journey also becomes a quest for meaning in a world filled with despair. Along the way, the Lone Wanderer encounters characters who are willing to sacrifice everything for a cause, whether it's for family, power, or a vision of a better future. These sacrifices are often painful and costly, reminding players that survival in the wasteland comes at a price, and the value of selflessness is often tested. Fact 137. The wasteland is full of remnants from the old world, and Fallout 4 explores this theme through the locations of pre war cities and the fallout from their destruction. One of the most notable locations in Fallout 4 is the ruins of Boston, which are filled with familiar landmarks like Fenway Park and the USS Constitution. These locations serve as a bridge between the past and present, as survivors and factions attempt to rebuild on the bones of a world that no longer exists. The ruins stand as silent witnesses to humanity's downfall, offering a sense of history amid the chaos of the present. Fact 138. The Fallout series is known for its exploration of the impact of technology on humanity. In Fallout 4, the creation of the synths by the Institute raises questions about the nature of humanity and the ethics of creating artificial life. The synths are designed to be indistinguishable from humans, but their creators view them as tools, while others see them as sentient beings deserving of rights. This conflict mirrors real-world debates about artificial intelligence and the boundaries of technology, highlighting the dangers of playing God with life and the consequences of pushing the limits of science and ethics in pursuit of progress. Fact 139. The Brotherhood of Steel's relationship with technology in Fallout is complex and often contradictory. While they are dedicated to preserving and controlling pre-war technology, their strict policies and control over advanced weapons and machinery make them one of the more authoritarian factions in the wasteland. The Brotherhood sees itself as a protector of humanity, believing that only those who understand technology should wield it. However, their reluctance to share technology with other survivors and their militaristic methods often lead to tension with other factions, raising questions about the dangers of monopolizing power and the responsibility that comes with controlling such destructive forces. Fact 140. One of the most memorable and tragic locations in the Fallout universe is the ruins of Megaton, a town built around an undetonated nuclear bomb in Fallout 3. Megaton is a place of both hope and fear, where survivors have built a community around the dangerous relic of the pre war world. The presence of the bomb serves as a constant reminder of the world's destruction and the fragility of life in the wasteland. Megaton's inhabitants live in constant fear that the bomb could explode at any moment, yet they choose to live in its shadow, showing humanity's ability to find meaning and purpose even in the face of imminent danger. Fact 141. One of the most iconic features of the Fallout universe is its radiation-filled wastelands. Radiation is a constant threat to every survivor, often acting as both a physical and psychological challenge. In Fallout 3, radiation contamination can lead to mutation, illness, or death if survivors aren't careful. Various locations, like the glowing sea in Fallout 4, are so irradiated that only the bravest or most equipped dare to venture into them. This ever present danger forces players to weigh the risk of exploration, where searching for valuable resources or clues often comes at the cost of potential harm from radiation exposure. Fact 142. In Fallout 4, the presence of the Institute casts a long shadow over the Commonwealth. The Institute is an underground organization that believes the future of humanity lies in the creation of synths, robots designed to look and act like humans. While the Institute's leaders see themselves as the saviors of humanity, their methods are ruthless. They view synths as tools, often subjecting them to manipulation, control, and even erasure of their memories. The moral dilemma that arises around the Institute's actions challenges players to question whether technological advancement should be prioritized over the freedom and rights of sentient beings. Fact 143. The Fallout series is filled with many unique, morally gray characters. One such character is Caesar, the leader of the Legion in Fallout New Vegas. Caesar seeks to rebuild the wasteland using a brutal, Roman-inspired dictatorship where slavery and authoritarian rule dominate. His character presents an ideological challenge to the player, as Caesar's vision for the future is rooted in an extreme form of order and discipline. While his rule brings unity to his followers, it also brings oppression to the lands he conquers. His methods serve as a reflection of the lengths to which individuals will go in the name of order. Fact 144. In Fallout 3, the wasteland is home to some of the most memorable locations in the entire series. One such place is Rivet City, built within the hull of a massive pre war aircraft carrier. This floating city serves as a hub of commerce and information in the capital wasteland, offering a sense of survival and community amidst the chaos. Rivet City stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, as its residents have repurposed a once deadly war vessel to create a thriving settlement. The irony of a weapon of war becoming a symbol of hope is poignant. Fact 145. The Fallout universe frequently touches upon the idea of what it means to rebuild after the collapse of civilization. Fallout 4 explores this concept through the Minutemen, a faction that aims to help the Commonwealth's survivors rebuild a society based on unity and mutual protection. The Minutemen embody the idealistic vision of a democratic, free society in a post apocalyptic world. However, the difficulty of rebuilding amidst so much ruin often leads to internal conflict, as factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad, and the Institute all struggle for control. This tension between cooperation and conflict is a recurring theme. Fact 146. The iconic Pip-Boy, an arm-mounted personal device, is an essential tool for any Fallout survivor. Introduced in Fallout 3, the Pip-Boy is a compact computer that allows players to manage their inventory, map their surroundings, and track vital stats. In the Wasteland, the Pip-Boy becomes more than just a convenience. It represents the remnants of the old world's technology. The device is often found as a relic of the pre-war era, offering survivors a sense of continuity in a world that has been radically altered. Its green screen and retro aesthetic have become synonymous with the series. Fact 147. In Fallout New Vegas, the Mojave Wasteland is home to several factions, each with its own vision of the future. Among these, the New California Republic, NCR, stands out as one of the most influential. The NCR seeks to restore a semblance of the pre-war United States by rebuilding infrastructure, creating a government, and establishing law and order. However, despite its noble intentions, the NCR is often plagued by bureaucracy and internal corruption. Their attempts to extend their influence in the wasteland are met with resistance from other factions, making the struggle for power a central theme of the game. Fact 148. The Super Mutants, originally created by the U.S. government as part of an experiment to create super soldiers, are some of the most dangerous creatures in the Fallout universe. In Fallout 3, the player encounters groups of super mutants who are often hostile and aggressive. The mutations caused by the forced evolutionary virus, FEV, have turned these individuals into massive, hulking creatures with superhuman strength. However, the super mutants' struggle for survival is not just about physical strength. Many of them are forced to confront their own humanity and identity, making them a tragic symbol of the unintended consequences of scientific experimentation. Fact 149. The idea of community is explored in Fallout through the creations of settlements, where survivors come together to rebuild their lives. In Fallout 4, Players can construct their own settlements, providing shelter, food, and safety for settlers in the Commonwealth. The settlements represent the hope of rebuilding society, even in the midst of a shattered world. However, maintaining a community in the wasteland is never easy, as settlers must defend against raiders, mutants, and other threats. The concept of community is central to the story, highlighting the importance of cooperation and mutual support in the face of overwhelming odds. Fact 150. The Fallout series also delves into the psychological effects of living in a post apocalyptic world. Survivors must not only contend with physical threats like radiation, mutants, and factions, but also with the emotional trauma caused by the loss of family, friends, and the world they once knew. In Fallout 3, the character of Moira Brown represents this idea. Moira, an optimistic, eccentric woman, runs a supply store in the capital wasteland and aims to write a wasteland survival guide. Despite the hardships around her, she remains hopeful and committed to helping others, symbolizing the importance of resilience and mental strength in the face of devastation. Fact 151. One of the most memorable moments in Fallout 4 is the moment when players realize just how much the world has changed since the Great War. The sole survivor, who was frozen in cryogenic stasis for over 200 years, emerges into a world that is unrecognizable. Their quest to find their missing son, Sean, takes them through a commonwealth filled with mutated creatures, hostile factions, and remnants of the old world. This stark contrast between the pre-war world and the post-apocalyptic wasteland is central to Fallout's narrative, emphasizing the theme of loss and the passage of time. Fact 152. The concept of legacy is a recurring theme throughout the Fallout series, with many characters grappling with what they leave behind. In Fallout New Vegas, the character of Benny represents the dark side of legacy. Benny is a smooth-talking con artist who plays a central role in the battle for control over New Vegas. His personal ambitions and ruthless actions make him a dangerous figure, but his legacy is one of betrayal and greed. His story serves as a warning about the consequences of prioritizing personal gain over the well-being of others, especially in a world already ravaged by war. Fact 153. One of the central moral dilemmas in Fallout New Vegas is the battle between the New California Republic, NCR, and Caesar's Legion. While the NCR represents a more democratic, albeit flawed, vision of the future, Caesar's Legion seeks to impose a brutal, authoritarian regime across the wasteland. The player's decisions regarding which faction to align with reflect deeper themes of power, freedom, and governance in a fractured world. This conflict highlights the difficulty of rebuilding society in the wake of a global disaster and forces the player to confront what kind of future they want to shape. Fact 154. The Brotherhood of Steel's obsession with controlling technology extends beyond just weapons and power armor. In Fallout 4, the Brotherhood seeks to reclaim pre-war technology, believing that it is the key to securing humanity's future. They are willing to go to great lengths to achieve this, even if it means subjugating or destroying anyone who stands in their way. Their strict hierarchy and militaristic nature make them a force to be reckoned with, but their actions often raise questions about whether their desire to control technology is ultimately for the greater good or for their own power. Fact 155. The Fallout universe's take on artificial intelligence is explored through the creation of synths, highly advanced humanoid robots created by the Institute. Synths are designed to be indistinguishable from humans, raising profound questions about the nature of life, identity, and autonomy. While the Institute views synths as tools to be used in their pursuit of progress, the railroad sees them as sentient beings deserving of freedom. The conflict between these factions and the player's choices regarding their treatment raises ethical questions that reflect real world debates about the rights of artificial beings and the definition of humanity. Fact 156. In Fallout 3, players are introduced to the concept of the Wasteland Hero, a character who rises from the ashes of a broken world to become a beacon of hope or destruction. The protagonist, known as the Lone Wanderer, is tasked with finding their father, James, who has disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Along the way, the lone wanderer is forced to make choices that shape their morality and their destiny. Whether they become a hero or a villain depends on the decisions they make, reflecting the themes of self determination and the moral complexity that defines the Fallout series. Fact 157. In Fallout 4, the glowing sea is one of the most dangerous and irradiated areas in the Commonwealth. This region, filled with deadly radiation and mutated creatures, was once a bustling area before the bombs fell. Now, it serves as a haunting reminder of the destructive power of nuclear war. The glowing sea is home to some of the most powerful and terrifying creatures in the Fallout universe, including Deathclaws and other mutated horrors. Exploring this area is not only physically dangerous, but emotionally taxing, as it symbolizes the lasting scars of humanity's reliance on nuclear power and weapons. Fact 158. The Fallout series is known for its rich, layered storytelling, and this is especially evident in Fallout 3, where the player can explore the remains of Washington, D.C., the capital wasteland, once the center of U.S. government and culture, is now a desolate, radioactive ruin. Among the ruins are landmarks like the Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial, and Jefferson Memorial, symbols of the nation's former glory. These sites stand in stark contrast to the world around them, offering a poignant reminder of what was lost and the challenges of rebuilding in the aftermath of global destruction. Fact 159. One of the most haunting aspects of the Fallout universe is the exploration of isolation. In Fallout 3, the protagonist, the Lone Wanderer, leaves Vault 101, a place of supposed safety and security, to venture out into the unknown wasteland. This journey is not just a physical one, but an emotional and psychological one as well. The lone wanderer must come to terms with the loss of their family and the destruction of the world they once knew. Their quest for answers leads them to confront the harsh realities of a fractured world and the personal cost of survival. Fact 160. As the final fact in our exploration of the Fallout universe, it's important to reflect on the series' central theme, the resilience of humanity. Despite the overwhelming destruction caused by the Great War, the survivors in Fallout continue to fight for survival, rebuild, and seek meaning in a world that seems beyond repair. The story of Fallout is one of hope, despair, and redemption. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, the human spirit endures. Whether through rebuilding communities, seeking out lost loved ones, or simply surviving day to day, the characters in Fallout show that there is always a reason to keep going. Thank you for drifting through the fascinating world of Fallout with me tonight. May your dreams be filled with the echoes of the past and the hope for the future. May your heart be at peace and your mind find rest in the quiet after the storm. Good night.